Hey, welcome to the 40 Finance channel, everybody. If you follow Google and Microsoft stock, then certainly you've seen all the ChatGPT headlines that have posted across both of these companies. And here early in 2023, Google's getting all the negative headlines, right? As Microsoft sort of integrates components of ChatGPT into their search product. A lot of talk in there about, is Google's fortress suddenly penetrable, and is Microsoft going to make a big splash in this market? So what we're going to do here today is kind of look at the truth, right? Kind of look at the facts, not just for Google and Microsoft, but ChatGPT in general, and what impact it may have on the stock market, which stocks could gain in this situation if this thing did happen to take off even more, and which stocks could be potential losers over the long term. All right, jumping over to Seeking Alpha, we're going to start off with this article. Bank of America still a buyer of Google even as it absorbs Microsoft's AI search threat. And quick plug here as we're going along on the Seeking Alpha stock research platform. This is something I use all the time. My affiliate link is in the description. Gets you 12 full months of Seeking Alpha Premium for only $99, and it also has a 7-day free trial on the front end before you ever even get charged. So definitely check that out, potentially support my channel as well. But let's get into the meat of this article here. And Google has taken a reputational hit in the past few months as investors process the search threat from AI, notably from Microsoft's push into bringing OpenAI's ChatGPT tech into its Bing search. Though Bank of America reviews the data and concludes Google's still a buy with some fundamental AI advantages. Daily data shows that ChatGPT traffic is still on the rise, up 96% month over month in February, and search interest in GPT remains high, analyst Justin Post noted. Meanwhile, mobile downloads of Bing, which are required to get this faster access to Bing's PC search, are still elevated since a February 7th announcement. The announcement, of course, being that they're integrating ChatGPT. Google downloads are currently about 3.3, or let's just say 3x times those of Bing, up from about 1.2x around the OpenAI announcement, but down from about 20x in early February. So that's a substantial ratio increase on the Bing side if you consider that, Google downloads were 20x Bing in early February, and now they're at 3.3 times that of Bing. And all of that circles around the press that this ChatGPT integration is getting. That, of course, has led to many of people coming out and announcing that Google's done, right? They might as well just pack it up and throw away their ambitions because Bing has won this AI race. However, we learn here, the uptick in Bing downloads has not impacted Google download activity, which has been stable in January and February. Remember in this previous paragraph, we were talking about a ratio. So people are adding Bing in addition to Google is basically what you're seeing here from a volume perspective. And we are not aware of any slowing in Google search revenues that could be attributed to the late 2022 ChatGPT launch. It goes on to say that ChatGPT launched in late November, and Alphabet stock since December 1st is down about 12% versus a NASDAQ decline of about 1%. But the company has a big head start in AI and machine learning, which will likely drive incremental demand for search and cloud, as well as an improved Google ad platform. So casual correlation there, ChatGPT comes out in late November. Since December 1, Google is down 12% versus a NASDAQ decline of 1%. So maybe ChatGPT is killing Google. But if we dig into the numbers on that hypothesis, the fact of the matter is Google was down because ad revenue is down. And if you don't follow a lot of advertising stocks here in 2022 and what looks to be most of 2023, advertising is a mess right now, an absolute train wreck, because you're coming off of high comps, and you also have all the bears out there talking about economic tightening and interest rates and all these things. So advertisers have just packed it up and said, you know what, at least in Q1, potentially in Q2, we're just holding our budgets. And that was clearly reflected here in Google's most recent earnings report. Advertising, which makes up the biggest piece of Alphabet's revenue, fell from $59 billion in a quarter, by the way, $59 billion in a quarter, from $61.2 billion a year ago. Revenue for Google Search dipped to $42.6 billion from $43.3 billion in 2021's fourth quarter. We also saw sales from YouTube ads were down to $8 million from $8.63 billion a year ago. So advertising across the board for Google, whether it was search, YouTube, or otherwise, was struggling in the sense of comps, right? So when you're a company like Google and frankly a lot of the stocks in the QQQ, it is about growth, right? And here we didn't see growth, we actually saw regression. And luckily for Google, they're still able to kind of piece together the EPS side of the equation by cutting costs and whatnot. But revenue growth is always going to stand out as a problem if you're not generating it. But what's interesting for me is just how these two headlines, which are very different from each other, ChatGPT and broader market advertising decline, how they kind of get lumped into the same when people are trying to build their case that Google is falling. And I think if you just take a look at this one line here, Google Search, revenue from advertising on Google Search, dipped to $42.6 billion from $43.3 billion in 2021. So let's remember that number, $42.6 billion. So keep that number in mind, and we're going to go over to Microsoft. This is the SE filing that they build right into Seeking Alpha. It's super helpful. And we go down to their revenue for search and news advertising, and they made a healthy $3 billion, okay? So you're talking about the difference between $43 billion, okay, and $3 billion, right? So the two in regards to search, if you're worried about search and Google, they're not even on the same plane, and that's not an insult to Microsoft. Microsoft is destroying Google when it comes to the cloud computing, right? Azure versus Google Cloud, Azure's destroying it. In fact, I'm not even sure if Google Cloud is 100% profitable yet. I haven't looked at it in a while. But if you're going to bang on the horn for search and the Google box exploding into thin air, I don't think you have a very strong argument. Certainly not over the next 3+ years. Now, maybe down the road here, as we look at ChatGPT, the world changes how they search for things in a more conversational way. I would argue that Apple, Amazon, Google already have sort of voiced integrated search built into their home units. But let's just say it gets into a world where people want to interact with this box here that we have on ChatGPT, and we'll just pretend it's on Microsoft. I still think that it has some commercialization failures. I see it as a very good content creation tool. I see it as a very good coding tool, mathematical tool, things like that. But the fact of the matter is, it's a robot making inferences based on data sources and learning. And it's going to take a long time to really sort out which data sources they're allowed to use, which data sources are appropriate. If you really want to think about Google and Microsoft's level of corporate power and how much scrutiny they are under as it is, and you throw in the two words litigation and legislation, then you can pretty much assume that both of these companies have way too much to lose to push this much faster than they feel comfortable with. You already have these basic limitations of may occasionally generate incorrect information, may occasionally produce harmful instructions. I mean, there's a litigation just dying to happen, or biased content. And then limited knowledge of the world and events after 2021. Obviously, you can update a data set there, but who has the best data in the world, right? It's Google, just to let you know. If you want to have a data set on the consumer, okay, and which maps they use and which cell phones they call and all those things, it's Google, not to mention Gmail, Google Drive, all the things that they do. So when it comes to connecting a data set to anything close to ChatGPT, I assure you that Google, while they will have to tread extremely carefully, they are by far the beneficiaries of the consumer liking something like this in the short term. All right, quick headline here, because I was talking about legislation and litigation. You've already seen Apple here today blocks update of an email app over content fears. And this is the kind of stuff we're going to see all the time. So just prepare yourself for it. The world's most valuable company has reportedly blocked Blue Mail email app on its store due to concerns that AI technology could deliver inappropriate content to children. The Blue Mail app uses a customized version of ChatGPT called GPT-3. So this is a tiny headline. Blue Mail doesn't impact probably much of anybody as it pertains to the size of Apple, and you're just going to see this all over the place. And how about this for a thought? Apple and Google, because they are both in mobile phones, which of course Microsoft is not, do you think that they would potentially block certain providers of ChatGPT type stuff when it benefits them and just call it, taking care of children? It looks like what they're doing here. They're just saying you didn't rate your little thing correctly, your little download, so boom, you're banned. And I guarantee you they'll find a way to prioritize their products across the board. All right, so beyond Google versus Microsoft, which stocks have the best chance of winning anything related to ChatGPT in the shorter term? Let's just say what we can see, right? Maybe the next 3 to 5 years. Obviously, this thing as a content creation, conversational play around tool, it's not monetizable right now. You might get content creators, you might get certain students and things that need to use it for $20 a month, but that's really not the long game here. When you think about being in Apple, Microsoft, and Google world, the $20 a month for a small slice of America isn't really going to cut it. They need more users in their world, and they need to present them with advertisements and products. That's where the money is. And to come up with some stock ideas, I'm going to use this list here, 15 companies that stand to benefit from AI. This is also from Bank of America. That just happens to be a coincidence. And you scroll down, you got the usuals: Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Apple, Baidu, NVIDIA, ASML, Taiwan Semi, Adobe, Shutterstock, Nice Systems, SAP, Palantir. So that's their core list. And I'll tell you, out of these, where my mind goes, particularly this line for NVIDIA, via its GPUs being used in the AI arms race, I think when you talk about computing power and this ChatGPT stuff, if there's one thing we know for certain, is it requires a lot of computing power. So when I think of NVIDIA, at least on a high level, I can see some correlation there. I can also see, from a different perspective, Microsoft, Alphabet, from their cloud computing systems, right? From Azure, okay? From Google Cloud. Maybe it's not the search business that gets any impact from this whatsoever, or not any noticeable impact. Maybe it's the cloud computing business. Then you, of course, have to throw in Amazon somewhere in there. But let's face it, the more computing power that you can outsource somewhere else instead of building it yourself could be a huge win and set the stage for the next cloud stock jump here. Maybe in just as simple as 1 or 2 years as more companies start to use this stuff. Now, as far as losers, at least with my background in digital marketing, I'm going to have to say it's marketing agencies. Okay, it's also going to be freelance workers. It's going to be marketing specialists. Not all of them, but what there's probably going to be here is a thinning of the herd. So what I see happening is the very talented few, with the help of these tools, is going to be able to perform more quality work, and that's going to sort of kick out some of the lower tier suppliers and freelancers that are out there. So when I think of direct impact losers, at least off the top of my head, I've got to put Upwork in there. I've got to put Fiverr in there. I'd take another look at some of the big marketing agencies just to see, what kind of value are they selling to their clients? What is their expertise? And how could something like AI ChatGPT make that job easier, whatever they're selling? This is not the kind of thing that's going to happen tomorrow. In fact, if anything, you can make the argument probably that AI consulting or something like that, how to integrate it into your business, is probably going to be a boom to some degree. And then once everybody gets a little more comfortable with it, then maybe you start to see some of the services that marketing agencies offer may just not be needed anymore, or you can bring them in-house because these tools help you accomplish them and more of it than formerly possible. All right, guys, so that's my take on ChatGPT, Google, Microsoft, and all the other stocks related to this AI revolution that's gotten a lot of press here in the first part of 2023. Before you go, don't forget to check out that special offer for Seeking Alpha Premium down in the description. I hope everybody's doing well. We'll see you on the next video.